This is Dr. David Allen coming to you on the television program, People Helping People. Codependency is one of the least understood concepts in the field of psychotherapy today. Yet it is so common. So many of us kill ourselves to please people, doing things to make them feel better. Some of us give our life for our children. Some of us give our life for our job. These are all codependent tendencies. Codependency is such a powerful concept that many of us destroy our life and sometimes even die because of it. Today with me in the studio is my daughter, Dr. Marie Allen Carroll, and she's discussing the concept of codependency. Marie, when you think of codependency, what comes to mind?
Well, thinking back, at first it became very popular about 25, 30 years ago, the concept of codependency, and it was based out of spouses of addicts, alcoholics, drug addicts, and looking closely into how the spouses enabled the addicts by thinking they were helping, but actually, as the addict was getting sicker, the spouse was getting sicker because they were trying to help so much, they were giving up their own sense of self, accepting things that were bizarre, enabling behavior that just was irresponsible, and so actually the spouse became as sick as the addict. So that was kind of where it was born out of. We're seeing a resurgence in the term of codependency because we're realizing it is no longer just about spouses of addicts. So many of us have codependency characteristics. Codependency is a spectrum as well. You can have someone that's severely codependent. You could have someone with codependency features. One of the best books on the topic is Codependency No More by Melody Beattie. And if you look at that book, she has about 3 pages of very fine print lists of characteristics involved in codependency. When you look at that list, things like perfectionism, trying to control, inability to perform tasks on time, inability to stand up for yourself, so many of us can relate to so many of the characteristics. So when I started reading her book, instead of thinking about codependency as this illness that just affects other people, I realized, myself included, and so many of us, particularly women, I'm afraid, have characteristics of codependency, and it really can stop us from living the life we are supposed to live because we're so focused on people-pleasing or caregiving that we are actually harming ourselves.
Now, Marie, why do you think it would be more common in women?
Because women, you know, sugar and spice and everything nice. We are raised to take care of people. We're raised to nurture. We're raised to keep our anger to ourselves. If we get angry or if we disagree, we're considered bitchy or too aggressive. And so where anger and aggression is kind of considered normal for male, and I'm obviously talking generally, for a female, it's not considered as appropriate to be overly angry, or otherwise you're told you have an attitude problem or what have you. This in turn can turn into a sense of repression of feelings or of being conflict avoidant because you don't want to deal with that anger, you don't want to deal with any kind of uproar, so you just keep trying to compensate and please and do better so that you're avoiding conflict, when in turn you are starting to kill your own sense of self. You
know, it's interesting because I've been working in the field now for 45 years. I met people, women and sometimes men, but mostly women, who said they have to play dumb in order to please their husband because they are brighter than him, and if they argue with him in a way where they win the argument, he gets very, very angry. Mm-hmm. So this lady says, I've just learned to try to please him, and sometimes I disagree with him, but I just play dumb so he could feel better.
Yeah, yeah. Dumbing down.
Is that codependency?
It's a real thing. It's absolutely.
So are you saying people actually dumb down to please others?
Yeah. Some men find very intelligent women intimidating, and vice versa. However, yeah. So again, to compensate, try to kind of relinquish your control or your assertiveness. You've talked a lot about splitting, and I think that really ties into codependency. Splitting occurs when you give your adequacy to someone else. So usually it's someone who's already feeling pretty inadequate, such as an addict or what have you, and because they're feeling inadequate, instead of saying, oh, I don't feel good, I feel worthless, they look to the person they supposedly love and try to grab their adequacy. And because you are not maybe secure enough, or you want to please, or because you love this person so much, you give over your adequacy. So what happens is that person has given up his inadequacy or her inadequacy, has taken your adequacy, and now you don't have your adequacy, but now you have that person's inadequacy. We all have adequacy and inadequacy, right? So in the codependent relationship, one of the spouses is giving up their adequacy, whereas the other spouse is taking the adequacy and giving up their inadequacy. So one spouse, this sounds confusing, one spouse has both spouses' sets of adequacy, while the other spouse has both sets of inadequacy.
So really, in one sense, woman has given up her power.
Yeah, authority card.
That's really sad, because we all have an authority card made in the image of God, and somehow the belief is we have to give that away to please people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In order to be loved. It goes back to that, to your theory, the contemplative discovery pathway theory, where we're all hurt as children, and for some reason, somewhere along the way, whether it was a parent, whether it was a teacher, whether it was a relationship, we were told who we are, our natural selves, wasn't good enough. Who we are, who we wanted to be, I wanted to be, I don't know, whatever you wanted to be, someone said, no, you'll never be that. You're not smart enough. That's not gonna make enough money. You're too dumb, you're stupid.
And you believed it.
And you believe it. And so at that moment, you're already giving away your adequacy. You're already giving your authority card. You're saying, I'm not good enough in this person's eyes, so why even bother trying?
So codependency involves, you can give your adequacy or give yourself away to another person to please them. You can give yourself to a drug, to become a drug addict, to almost please yourself by giving away yourself. You can give yourself to a certain group of people. Some people, for example, feel that they are not anybody unless they join a certain club, or they're a member of a group of people. But they're just people pleasers. And being a people pleaser, you don't please yourself or nobody else.
Right.
It's so sad.
It is sad. It is sad. And work. A lot of times people become very codependent on their jobs. I find, especially with clients who don't have a lot of balance outside of their life, their job has become kind of their life, their relationship, their everything. And so their validity, their authority, their feeling of self-worth comes from the job. And so they keep overperforming, don't have boundaries, get burnt out, and the job is a job, it's a business. Unfortunately, I have to tell you, everyone's replaceable. But here this client, this person, these people are feeling that their job is their whole being. And so that's what's so critical, especially I would say for men, when they lose a job, so much of it has become their identity that they just don't know who they are without it. And that's where you see sometimes even leading to suicides because of lack of jobs, because of lack of finances. Anything you're giving that much power to, whether it's a person, whether it's a job, whether it's an object, whether it's a thing, an addiction, and you're losing your sense of self, can be thought of as codependent.
And you know, one thing we don't think about in the Bahamas is that we are a very religious society, and many of us become codependent on our churches or codependent on our faith. It doesn't mean we shouldn't believe in God, but God is interactive. He says in Isaiah, come now and let us reason together. And codependent, there's no reasoning.
Right.
It's just a bland pleasing. God doesn't require that.
Right.
Worshiping Him is two-way. You worship Him, but you got to listen to Him, and it's a to and fro relationship. But somehow this codependent movement is so powerful in our country that many of us are trying to please a political party, please somebody else who may be in power, please our wife, please our husband, please our children, please our job, and we're just tired.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting. Materialism, just constantly going, and losing a sense of self.
And I know you just finished 5 lectures in Atlanta. How did you find things in America? Do the same issues exist as in the Bahamas?
Yeah, absolutely the same issues exist. It was interesting, specifically in Atlanta, there was a lot more, from when I lived in DC, I found the increase in, I don't know if I want to say racism, but talks about racism had really increased, and that was quite disturbing. There's a lot of political unrest, tension. It's a beautiful country. I love the United States. It's where I'm from as well. However, I think sometimes we say the grass is greener. The Bahamas has issues, the States has issues. I think every country in the world right now has some issues that they're going on, and you're going to find codependency no matter what more Western cultures, I think, than Eastern cultures, but it's common throughout.
Mm-hmm. Now, you do a lot of work with teenage girls. I know you, in the next couple of weeks, you'll do a special group in New York at Chautauqua. And these girls are kids from very wealthy and very bright families. You've done this group for a number of years. How do you find these young girls compared to Bahamians?
Same issues, same sense of social media, really dictating sense of self-worth, how many likes they're getting on their Instagrams, their Snapchats. We found that literally your brain is activated when you get a like, and so certain areas of your brain when you don't get likes don't light up as much. So getting likes, which is people liking your picture on Instagram or Snapchat, has literally had a biological reaction, and so we're finding it's causing an addiction. So you talk about girls who don't have a certain amount of likes in a certain amount of time frame will immediately take that picture down, even if it was a picture they liked. So
how does it relate to, like, for example, I know the selfie is a growing thing in the States, here too. How does the selfie relate to codependency?
That's an interesting point. It's obviously got a lot of self-absorption involved, right? It's very about myself. Whereas you think of codependency as not about yourself. But when you think about if selfie was really just about yourself and pleasing yourself, you wouldn't need to post it everywhere. So really you're looking for validation from other people that you are doing well, that you're looking great.
You want to please them.
You want to please them.
If they think that's a good looking selfie, you get a lot of hits.
Yes.
I see.
Then you're boosted.
Wow. So really kids are codependent on their social media.
Absolutely.
And their machines.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we know that adolescence is unfortunately for parents, peers take over. You want your peers' acceptance and validation is so important to you. It's just a developmental stage. And so social media, this is nothing new in terms of wanting peers' acceptance. It's just taking it on such a bigger level because it can happen so fast. Within clicks, you can have thousands of people seeing your pictures versus a couple of people that are actually in the room with you.
But what is the recent thinking about that? Because social media is growing so fast. I know you were at a Disney conference some time ago where Michelle Obama was speaking. And what's the thinking about social media now?
I mean, obviously it's got its very good points. It's got its aspects where people are learning a lot, they're being exposed to a lot, they're getting to be in touch with people that they would never have been in touch with. It's just the awareness of what's going on, the awareness that I think of it as great for maybe continuing friendships, but developing friendships and true intimate relationships over social media, that's tricky. I think you need that interrelationship first, and then you can continue the relationship.
Codependency, wanting to please people, wanting to please things, wanting to be in the right group, wanting to have the nice look, the best selfie. We're all caught up in it, and it's taking the world by storm, including the Bahamas. We're going to take a break and talk about it later.